You will see how Senator John Kennedy cornered the Attorney General over the phone records of a sitting United States Senator. I will show you the most crucial moment of this showdown at the very end. Wait until the end of the video to see it. To understand how Kennedy set the trap, you need to see that first moment. Watch how it all began.
I know you're busy, but I want to see a copy of the phone records of a sitting United States Senator. They're not going to just give them to me, are they?
No, Senator, of course not.
In fact, they're probably going to ask me what planet I just parachuted in from, aren't they?
Yes, Senator.
They're going to tell me to come back with a subpoena, aren't they?
Yes, Senator.
Okay. What do I have to show in that subpoena to get those phone records of a sitting? Did I mention it was a sitting United States Senator? I can't remember. What do I have to show to get the phone records of a sitting United States Senator?
Yes, Senator, there were actually 8 sitting United States
Yeah, I
Senator,
heard that.
and you would have to have cause.
I'm sorry, what do I have to show?
You would have to have cause to get the
Good
subpoena.
cause or probable cause?
Probable cause.
Okay.
Kennedy had the answer he needed, probable. Because 2 words that carry an enormous amount of legal weight. He did not rush past them. He held them there for a moment, the way a good cross-examiner does, making sure everyone understood what had just been established before moving on. Kennedy was not asking random questions. He was setting a trap step by step, getting her to agree to the rules before. Introducing the real issue. The next step was the subpoena deuces take-em. Kennedy asked Bondi to distinguish between the 2 legal standards probable. Cause for a standard subpoena and good cause for a subpoena deuces take-em Bondi. Walk through it. You would need good cause, she said. And what you would have to show is that you believed a crime had been committed, or there was a possibility of a crime, or that it could lead to other crimes. Kennedy, pressed further by the sitting United States Senator Bondi, confirmed they would have to believe the senator was part of a criminal conspiracy. That answer mattered. Kennedy flagged it and moved forward. A judge would have to sign off on the subpoena Bondi confirmed. That, too, Kennedy was getting her on the record. He needed these basic facts confirmed so they could not be walked back later. Then he pivoted not to legal standards this time, but to what a reasonable general counsel at a company like AT&T would do if that subpoena landed on their desk. This was a different kind of question, less about law, more about real-world judgment. Kennedy made the stakes clear, invading the privacy of a sitting United States senator. He repeated it again intentionally. Bondi responded carefully. If a company believed a crime had been committed, they could not tip off the person involved. She added almost lightly that she had never seen Kennedy commit a crime. There was a small laugh. The room was still comfortable, but Kennedy did not linger. He moved straight to the motion to quash. Could the phone companies have challenged those subpoenas, hypothetically? Bondi said yes. Cause yes. Kennedy tightened the frame. If a reasonable person would have filed a motion to quash and the company did not, they could face civil liability. Bondi responded that typically companies follow subpoenas from a U.S. attorney. Kennedy quickly replied he knew that, but they did not have to. She confirmed they could challenge it. He pushed again. If they did not challenge it, they had better have a good reason. At this point, the legal trap was fully set. Kennedy had secured agreement on every key principle probable, caused judicial approval, the right to challenge, and potential liability. Now it was time to apply pressure. He turned to copies of the subpoena applications. Did Bondi have them? She said she could not discuss anything related to the case. He pressed, could she even confirm whether they existed? She could not. When would she be able to discuss it? She said she couldn't even confirm whether there was a pending investigation. The refusals came quickly, one after another. Kennedy was not thrown off. He expected this. He made it clear he was not asking to get answers in that room. The questions themselves were the point. He said he did not want this swept under the rug. He warned that telecom companies might come after the DOJ because they could face liability for handing over those records. He named FBI agents. He named the special counsel. Then came the key question. If he were her special counsel and wanted to obtain the phone records of a sitting senator, would she expect to be informed? Her answer was immediate. They better have Kennedy acknowledged it, and then ask the question. Everything had been building toward, in this case involving 8 senators, was Attorney General Garland informed.
Do we know in this instance of the 8 sitting United States senators if they told Attorney General Garland?
Senator, I just learned about this very recently, as did Director Patel, and we cannot discuss the details. I don't know many of the details.
Well, maybe we ought to get Attorney General Garland here. Do you know if the special counsel told FBI Director Wray? Is that something? Let me put it another way. If I were your special counsel and you were the director of the FBI, and I'm trying to get the phone records of a sitting United States senator, did I mention it was a sitting United States senator? Is that something that you would expect me to tell you as director of the FBI?
In general, I would believe the FBI would help execute the subpoenas.
Yeah.
To the businesses.
Okay, I want to switch to another subject in the 12 minutes that I have left, since everybody else got to go over. I've got to ask you about this, General.
That moment tells you something not about guilt or politics, but about the nature of the hearing. Kennedy built a legal framework that both sides agreed on: probable cause, judicial oversight, the right to challenge, and accountability up the chain. He did not make accusations. He asked questions that the framework made unavoidable. Bondi maintained a legally safe position she could not discuss an ongoing matter, and she held that line consistently. But Kennedy questions did not require answers to land. They were designed to highlight gaps, raise accountability, and push attention upward toward leadership and decision-making authority. He did not shout. He did not argue. He used the law itself to apply pressure calmly, methodically, and effectively. Now, the real question is yours. Do you think the Department of Justice went too far by going after a sitting senator phone records?
Followed right themselves. Kennedy did not write them as accusations. He wrote them as logical extensions of what had already been agreed to in that room. Bondi's position throughout was consistent. She had recently learned about the matter. She could not discuss details of a possible pending investigation. She could not confirm or deny what had been communicated to whom. That is a legally defensible position, and she held it without breaking. But the questions Kennedy had asked did not require her to break it in order to land. They landed on the record regardless. The question about Garland, and then the follow-up about FBI Director Wray, did something specific. They moved the accountability question upward, not toward Bondi herself, but toward the chain of command that would have been in place when these subpoenas were issued. Kennedy made the point through his own hypothetical. If I were your special counsel and I was trying to get the records of a sitting senator, would I be expected to tell you? The answer she gave, that the FBI would help execute the subpoenas to the businesses, did not quite track with the question he had asked. And Kennedy did not chase it. He had made his point. He moved on. That is the structure of what you watched. Not a confrontation in the conventional sense, not a moment where voices were raised or a document was slammed on a table. The pressure Kennedy applied was quieter than that and, in its own way, more durable. It was built from questions that had agreed upon answers, steered toward a destination that those answers made difficult to avoid. Kennedy didn't need to shout to make his point. he used the law itself to corner the Department of Justice, forcing them to answer for how they handled the privacy of a sitting United States senator. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think the DOJ went too far by going after a sitting senator's phone records? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you appreciate this kind of straightforward, no-nonsense analysis, make sure to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.